Hi everybody, it's Claudia from Create with Claudia. Hope everybody's doing great. As you can see, my setup is a little bit different today and I'm hoping you can hear me okay. I'm trying not to yell too loud. I'm filming in my living room. Normally I film downstairs in my basement. I have a little studio set up. But this quilt is pretty big and it's finished, presenting our 2021 Stars of the Prairie mystery quilt. We worked all year putting it together. I have links to all of the blocks in my description of the video, but here it is put together. It was inspired by a local prairie near us that has the most gorgeous flowers throughout the year, except maybe in the winter, but through spring, summer, and fall, it has gorgeous yellows and purples and whites. I mean, every color of the rainbow, but this is really what struck me. And I love the random placement of it. It's a little bit different. It's not like a traditional quilt, although the blocks themselves are pretty traditional. But I know we worked really hard. I know my Facebook group, there are a lot of people that are quilting along with us, and hopefully they'll show us over there their finished products too. This is a free mystery quilt. It is up on my website and it'll be up there indefinitely. I'm not sure when I'll stop. This was the 2021. I also did one for 2020, which also the free patterns are still up there. You can join in at any time. It's a 12-month event and I do new block each month. I'm hoping to do one in 2022. Unfortunately, it won't be quite as long. It'll probably be about 6 months long, so it'll be a little bit smaller. So make sure to stick around. I'm going to show you how to put the quilt top together. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard because everybody, if you're participating in the mystery quilt, you should have all of the blocks done, cut out, ready to go. So stick around for that. I'm going to step aside so you can see the whole thing. Alrighty, here we are with section number 1. Like I said, this quilt top is divided into sections, and it's pretty important to do them in order because when you sew them all together, it makes it a lot easier because there are some sort of weird placements and things like that. Not weird, but just different placements. So again, section 1 is this, and I'm going to read this from my cheat sheet. This is actually the pattern, which I do highly recommend that you print out or have up on the screen when you're quilting. So, section 1, you need the December block, and then you need 3 of those background squares. So you're going to have to go way back to January when you cut out all those plain background squares, and you're going to need 3 of those. And what you're going to do is sew together the 3 squares, okay, first, and then sew that to the big block, okay, and that's the December block. So that's all there is, and then you're going to set that section aside, and we'll go on to section 2. All right, here we are with section 2. Section 2, you need 6 background squares. Those are those plain ones, okay? You need 1 of the January blocks. Those are those little ones. They look like little flowers. And then you're going to need the July block, which was this one, okay? And what you're going to do with this one, in the order you want to sew it together, you want to sew these 3 together first, and then piece it to that larger piece, okay? And then sew those 4 together, and once this section is pieced, sew that row onto the top, and that's your section 2. Alright, so here we are with section 3. This one you need 5 of the background squares. Those are the plain ones, those 5. You need 2 of those small January, I'm just going to call them little flowers. Those are the mosaic blocks, so you need 2 of those. And then you need the one big one that we did in, I think it's September. That's the September block. Whoops, don't want to tell you the wrong one. So what you're going to do first to piece this one, sort of like the section 2, you're going to piece these 3 squares together first, okay? Sew them to the larger unit on the right side. Then sew these 4 together. And then once those are sewn together, attach them to this section that you've already done down here. So that is section 3. Okay, so section 4 is pretty easy. It's 1 of the blocks we did from February. Those are those sort of medium size. We had the really big blocks, the small ones, and then a couple of these medium ones. So you're going to need 1 of those. You need 2 of the January blocks, and then you need 6 of the January squares, those background squares. Now to assemble this one, you want to sew up these 4 together first and make sort of like a 4 patch, and then sew this section together. So you have one long section here, and then sew these 4 top squares together. Once those are done, attach those to that longer square that you, or the longer section you did down here. So again, this is section 4. Okay, so section 5 is our largest section, has the most pieces in it. So I'm going to actually step a little bit out of the way when I'm showing you what this is. But for section 5, you will need, and again I have to read this, you need the March block, which I love, that's that Greek cross. You need 1 of those February blocks. You're going to need 3 of the January mosaic blocks, the flowers. And then you need 9 of the background squares. Now to sew this one together, you're going to have to follow a couple steps because it's a little bit oddly placed. You want to sew those 3 here together first and sew those to this larger block, okay? Then you're going to sew 3 of these down here together and sew them to this larger block. So then you have 1 long section here. Then you're going to sew this, you're going to sew these 6 together here. Hopefully you can see it okay. And once those are sewn, you sew that to this February block. So you're going to have 2 long sections, and then you're going to piece those sections together. So again, this is our largest section with the most piecing. But once you get it going, it really doesn't take that long. These are nice big blocks, so they're just easy, smooth sewing, hopefully. So here you go. This is section number 5. Okay, for section number 6, you need the following. You need the 1 January block, you need 5 of the background squares, and then you need the June block, which is that pinwheel. I like that pinwheel we did in June. And this is a nice easy one. You're going to piece those 3 together, and then sew the whole thing. Put those on that side, almost like wings. Put that row of squares on this side, and this one on this side, and then you'll have section 6. Okay, section 7, we're almost done, not too many more. Section 7 is 1 of February, 3 of the January mosaic blocks, and then you need 8 of the background squares for this one. This is again section 7. Now to sew this one together, you're going to sew these 2 together first, attach them to that February block, and then almost like a 9 patch, you're going to sew these together in one section. When you're done with that, you're going to join the 2 sections. So it's a nice easy one, just a lot of smaller pieces in this one. Alrighty, so here's section 8. Section 8 is a nice small one. You're going to need your May block, which was the Ohio Star. You need 1 of the January mosaic blocks and 5 of the background squares. Now to sew this one together, you want to sew these 6 smaller squares together first in that order. Once that's done, you're going to attach that to the larger block, and that'll be your section 8. I like section 9, it's vertical so you can probably see me better. But section 9 is 2 of the background squares and 1 of the January squares. And then you have the block from, let's see which one that one is, April. Sorry, I forgot. Sometimes they're hard after a year, you kind of forget what you've done. So this is the April block. So you're going to piece those 3 together first, and then sew that to the large April block, and that'll be your section 9. All right, another small one is section 10. We're finishing up. There's only 2 more after this one to go. You need 1 of the February, 4 of the background squares, and 1 of the January mosaics. And this is another easy one. You're going to sew those 2 together. Once that's done, attach that to this February 1. Sew these 3 together in a row, and then once that's done, attach that to this section that you've already made. So that is section 10. All right, I think you can handle section 11. Honestly, section 11 is just the October block. That was the blueberry pie one. I really like this one, like those pastels in that purple. Like the way this one turned out. So again, this is the October block, and that's all there is to section 11. All right, last but not least is section 12, and that is the August block. That's the big August block, and then you have 2 of the background squares and 1 of the mosaics. And again, like the other ones that sort of had this similar layout, sew the 3 together first, and then attach them to the larger square. So that is it, and when I come back, these will all be sewn together, so it's going to take me a little while, and I'm going to show you the next step of it, because then you have to lay them out in the order that they are. Okay, so I'm back from the sewing machine, and all of the sections are sewn together, so that took a little while, but it didn't take as long as I thought it would, so that's good. Now, unfortunately, I'm a little challenged with my space. I shoot my videos in my basement, and I don't have a huge tall ceiling or anything. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you basically how to put the top together, because you have the sections now. So the next thing you're going to do, and what I'm going to do, because you can't see all the sections, usually in one row, in one column, excuse me, there will be 4 sections. I think, yeah, 4 sections in each column, and there are 3 columns to put together. So you sew each section, let me say that again. You sew each column together first, and then sew the 3 columns together. So in column 1, you're going to have section 1. You can see how it's finished. Section 2, and then you're going to finish it off with section 3 and 4, and I'll show you those. Let me go put those up real quickly. Okay, so here are sections 3 and 4. These are all we're still working on column 1. You're going to sew these 2 together in order, and again, I can't stress it enough. You're going to need to have that layout, that pattern that I have on my website, or I also showed a picture of it here on, you can sort of pause the video on that if you want to look at that, if you'd rather do that. But what I'm going to do next is piece together that column. That'll be column 1, and now I'm going to show you column 2. Alright, so here's column 2, the sections 5 and section 6. And then below that in column 2 you would have section 7 and sections 8, which I'll show you in a second. So this was the biggest one we made, and again you're going to piece those all together in one column. And what I'm going to try to do while I'm doing this is I'll piece the columns and I'll take pictures of them, because again I'm space challenged, and I'll put those up on the screen for you too. Alright, so finishing up column 2, here is section 7 and then section 8, and again piece those together, add that to the other 2 sections in column 2, and you'll have column 2 done. Alrighty, starting with column 3, sections 9 and 10. These are nice and small. This is the most narrow of the columns. So you're going to sew those together, and then you're going to sew that to sections 11 and 12, which I'll show you the finished sections in a second. Alrighty, last but not least are the last 2 sections. Section 11, which was just the block. That was my favorite of the sections to sew together. And section 12. So here we go. This is finishing up column 3. And what I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to sew those columns together, take pictures of them so you can see them. They come together nicely. And then the last thing we're going to do is sew them all together. And then I will show you the completed quilt top. And I'm really loving the way this is coming together, the way the colors are looking, and I can't wait for you to see it. Alright everybody, ta-da! Here's the great unveiling. This is my 2021 Stars of the Prairie Mystery Quilt top. I still need to quilt it. I gotta find some time to do that, hopefully soon, because the prairie that I sort of inspired me for this mystery quilt is in full bloom right now, especially with yellow flowers, and I thought this would be really pretty if I took a few pictures over there. And I hope you quilted along with me. I hope you had fun with it. It's been a real pleasure doing this mystery quilt with you. I'm pleased with this quilt. I'm very happy, and makes me smile, and I cannot wait when it's all finished and quilted and I can snuggle under it. Alright, so there you go. There's how to assemble the whole quilt together, and then you can quilt it and bind it as you desire. I'm really happy with it. It measures about 72 by 80. It's either 72 or 74. I can't remember right now. I don't have my paperwork in front of me. I think it's 74 by 80. So it's a nice big quilt, nice queen size or a large double. Don't forget, this is a free pattern over on my website. I have all of the links in the description to the video. If you like free tips, tutorials, free patterns, who doesn't like free patterns? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'd love it if you would. And if there is a bell down there, ring that, because that way you'll get notified every time I post a new video. If you head over to my website, there's an email. I send out emails twice a month with the same free patterns, links to these videos, that sort of thing, so you don't miss a project. I'd love to know what you think about this quilt. Which block is your favorite? If you go back and look at all the months, I think my favorite, I have 2 favorites. I have the Greek Cross and Blueberry Pie. That's Blueberry Pie, and Greek Cross is up there in the middle. Those are my 2 favorites. I don't know which ones are yours. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.